So it's just you and me, Hillary?
Well, that's what it looks like.
Oh, here's Marty.
Yep, Marty's here. Here's Leon and Barbara.
John Kumbler wrote and said he's not going to attend, I think.
What?
I just got an email to that effect.
Okay. Does something better come up or what?
I'm not going to speak for John.
No, of course not.
Hey, you must have gotten lucky. So we have a quorum, and Mickey's big hand is on 1 minute after 12. So, hello, Marty. Michael, you're here. Okay. Pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 38, paragraphs 18 through 25, as amended by Chapter 28 of the Acts of 2009, the Wetlands Protection Act, and the Wellfleet Environmental Protection Bylaws of July 1986 and its regulations of January 2000, the Wellfleet Conservation Commission will hold public hearings on Wednesday, November 3rd, 2021 at 5 p.m. with the business meeting starting at 4 p.m. via remote meeting pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's orders imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted at this meeting. Town hall is closed to the public. Board members will participate in this meeting remotely. Currently, we have Barbara Brenessel, Marty Murphy, Benjamin Fairbank. Hi, Ben. Michael Fisher. So we have a quorum, and those are we have in attendance. So mail. Is there any mail?
I don't think there's any mail. We do have several jurisdictional opinions, so I don't know if you want to get.
Yeah, let's move right ahead to the jurisdictional opinions then.
Okay, the first one we have is for Peter Cook. Hold on one second. And I will tell you what he'd like to do. There is an old locust tree directly behind the building that we approved at a previous meeting that's leaning badly and is at high risk of falling on the structure during a storm. Michael Fisher is his supervisor, and so he and Michael talked about the tree, and it seems like the best path forward would be to put in a jurisdictional opinion to remove the locust tree so that it is not a risk to the building. And he would replace it with a native tree.
I think some kind of an oak, a white oak or something.
Sure.
If you can see, this is the tree, the big one behind.
Ooh.
It's a locust, and it's leaning very much on over the current structure and will be the future structure.
What's the address, Michael?
30
Main Street.
Okay. Yep.
Map 15, parcel 2.
Okay. I'm okay with that. And I can make a motion to approve the JO.
I would second it.
Okay, Barbara, how do you vote?
Yes.
Marty?
Yes.
Benjamin?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. That looks like something I'd want removed. Okay, what's next? Lori?
Okay. Next up, we have Jeremy Young on, and I think he can present his 2 jurisdictional opinions. We did have a chance, Jeremy, to get to both of these sites today, so why don't we start with Briar Lane?
Sure, sounds good. Good evening, guys. Good afternoon. Yes, for 30 Briar Lane, this would be Briar Trust, care of Dan Wexman and Brad Williams. It would be for a removal of one tagged with green and white ribbon deceased maple tree located at the left side of the property. The reason they want to remove this, it is threatening the building next door, which would be the box lunch.
So Jeremy, we were out there and we did see green and white flagging on a tree, but it didn't appear that the tree was threatening the box lunch. It appeared that it was standing up pretty straight. Is there more that we didn't see? Did we see the right tree, I guess is our question.
And this is an image. There was a tag around this tree and then also, I think, around that tree.
No, it was tagged
No.
on this tree. No, there was caution tape attached to one tree, and then there was the
Right.
tagging on this
back tree.
this tree. If you
The
could,
one
can
on
you
the
see my
right.
mouse?
Should I give you the screen?
It
well-
would be the one to the right with the green and white flag.
Yeah.
Right there,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, that's the tree.
So that is deceased. It is in a wetland. The ground is unstable. If it does uproot, we just went through an extensive storm Tuesday night into Wednesday. There's trees uprooted all over town. The lean to this, Brad and Dan are worried about the potential that it could come down on the back side, the porch overhang in the picture to the left of Kathy McNutt's property.
So the condition of the tree is, oh, hi, John. The condition of the tree is, it's diseased, you said, Jeremy?
Deceased,
It's deceased?
yes.
Oh, okay. Well, it's probably better to get rid of that one and plant a new one, I would say. Anybody have
and
any
the-
feelings?
The concern would be that it is deceased. With the recent storm all over Wellfleet and the Cape, what I've seen is either complete uprooting or trees snapped halfway up with straight line wind gust.
Mhm.
I think we can support the removal of it if it is dead, which you're telling us it is, so I think that's okay. Do we want to look at planting something not directly in its place, but maybe outside of the ditch?
Yeah, that's, I would think that, I mean, I'm getting more and more concerned about the reduction of our tree population, especially after that last storm, because it really did wipe out a lot of trees. But that was probably just a culling of the trees.
Jeremy, can you suggest a native tree to plant once that one comes down? That your client would like?
Potentially, the slope on that riverbed and the fact that the town's kind of undecided with a potentially failed culvert right there. I would hold off for the time being, but we could plant something in there at a later date. The ground is just too unstable. It's fragile. There's flooding going on down there.
I was
Uh,
thinking
what-
outside of that area. It doesn't have to go right back into its
Right.
place.
Then yeah, definitely something could get replaced. I can confer with my client on that.
I agree that I think you're taking down a tree, you should put up a tree.
Yeah,
Yeah, I would agree with that too.
Would I?
yeah, that tree had been there quite a while. So it'd be nice to get a new generation going.
You could
So I
you
move-
could plant like a serviceberry tree or something that doesn't grow too tall, so that you don't have the problem of a huge tree over the building again,
Yeah,
but also native.
okay. Do we want to be specific about what kind of tree we want planted?
Well, I don't think we can tell them what type of tree to plant. They
Right.
need to tell us or suggest to us what type of tree they will plant.
And I
Okay.
think it should be comparable in biomass, or at least be able to reach a comparable biomass.
Okay, that would be, pretty much something in the swamp maple species then, if you want to kind of replace one for one.
I'd like to see a swamp maple in there. They're very, adds to the color of the town in the fall. It's not the owner's business, but that is a nice tree to have in town.
So do you have to come back to us after you consult your client, Jeremy?
My client, Brad Williams, is on here, and I'm sure Dan Wexman is too, if I could get their input.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Dan Wexman. The area in question, if you were looking at it, if you'll notice, there are many maple trees bordering our side of the drainage ditch from Squire Pond. Those trees actually contribute to the problem of clogging the culvert. One less tree means less clogging. Planting another tree in that area is just going to add to more debris accumulating in the drainage ditch.
Right.
I don't think,
That's not what we were suggesting. We were suggesting that you plant a tree on the property, but not necessarily in that critical area.
I don't know where we would do that. We have, the house sits back in the corner of the lot. There's no room at the southeast corner. Everything you see in terms of foliage is in the front of the building. We have an enormous cedar tree there now. There's an elm on the other side. A number of trees just were hit by lightning and eventually were taken out by the town because the 25 feet in from the center line is owned by the town. We are going to be planting something. Well, I just don't know where that would go. If you want to come and give me some suggestions where it would be aesthetically appealing, that would be fine. But frankly, I don't think that the loss of a dead swamp maple necessarily means a whole lot, especially when means a whole lot to me. It's just the trees rot, and that's my opinion.
Every tree is a carbon source.
I understand
and
that.
every
and
tree
I-
is
But
habitat.
that's a dead tree.
Right.
Yeah, dead
Well,
trees are
habitat.
habitat as well.
Well,
We can leave it up, and as long as you take responsibility if it hits the box lunch.
Nobody's taking responsibility for that.
the issue is
Not
what
even
kind,
you.
the issue is what kind of tree do we replace it with? I would suggest maybe a bush of some kind, a tall bush that, in fact, actually, we are removing a Japanese maple that has done very badly because we planted it in too much direct sun. And we could plant something in its place as long as it didn't grow more than 8 feet tall. If you could suggest what that might be. It's in front of the garage on the right-hand side, if you remember the property.
well, I think you're employing Jeremy to make that kind of recommendation. We judge
Well,
on applications to us. We don't tell you what to do.
Well, well, what I'm saying is I just don't know where it would go on the property because there's basically no room. The house takes up almost all the property. If you want to leave it up to Jeremy, he and I can work something out, and that would be fine.
Okay,
That
so
would,
perhaps we should continue this until we come to a resolution.
yes.
Our next meeting is November 17th, so we could put it back on the agenda for November 17th.
Yeah, so if
Let
you
me,
can,
I have a question.
ahead.
If we decide not to replace the tree, does that mean that the tree cannot come down?
That's what I'm hearing.
That's the case. Right now, it can't come down unless there's a plan.
Okay, well. that's
Well, we'll leave it
interesting.
in God's hands.
Okay, well, thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Okay, what's next, Hillary?
The next jurisdictional opinion is also from Jeremy for 107 Samoset Ave, map 13, parcel 9.
Hi
You got
again.
Jeremy?
This would be for, like Hillary said, 107 Samoset Ave, Robert Barber would be replacement of a pre-existing concrete walkway located on the right side of the property using granite slabs that are currently sitting on the property for the last 2 years, set in mason sand. The current concrete walkway right now is crumbling and is a trip hazard.
So Jeremy, are you talking about the driveway as well, or only the walkway?
Only the walkway.
So you're going to leave the driveway that way. Now, we went out there and it looks like the pavers have already been placed. So is this an after the fact filing?
No, this is not. The client, his son got married in June, and he went about doing this himself. And I don't think he's really aware of the regulations by the Conservation Commission. I did get an email from him last week. I think he was before you guys talking about some septic work. So this was done beforehand back in June.
So if it was done already and you're applying now, isn't that an after the fact filing?
No. So
Why not?
basically, Hillary, if you could bring that picture back up.
Okay.
He's looking at the other walkway, the one from Samoset,
The
To the
remaining
house.
walkway.
right? The one with the drains, right?
Okay, I don't have an image of that.
Yeah, someone just showed it. Michael, you did.
I-
Yep.
Okay, I'll get it back up. Okay. Okay, there's that.
So
And then,
No, it's not that one.
Maybe it's on the driveway picture.
so
That's
The-
not the
the-
driveway, though. Yeah,
no,
Oh,
no, no, back one picture.
that one, right?
So
Is
it
that-
would be from there's 4 new slabs. It would be from where the person's standing all the way to the left, going from there back to the steps leading to the porch on the side.
well, those
So
are
the
new
section
as
that you
well.
could replace.
Those would
section-
be those would be replaced with granite. Right now they're concrete and they're on level.
What?
Sounds like we
what-
have a combination of an after the fact as well as a
Right.
official opinion.
I would go for an RDA on this one because some of the work's been done and some of it's proposed. The granite's sitting there. That area where the granite is stacked now, that's not an area that you're proposing to do any work on?
No.
No, okay.
That's been sitting there for 2 years. The client had it delivered from Boston. It's just been sitting there. And he went about doing that. He talked to me back in the middle of May, and I said there was no way I could get to it till the fall. And he said, well, my son's getting married, in a week. I'm just going to do this little section myself. Told him the circumstances, but he went ahead and did it anyway.
Okay, so
So
I
that
think it's an after the fact RDA.
Yeah.
filing for your client, Jeremy.
Okay.
All right, it's, I just want to make sure I'm clear that that driveway area that has the French drains in it, that's staying exactly the same, or are you pulling that driveway up and putting slabs there or not?
The driveway is not being touched.
Okay. Surprised.
Just simply that little short span of walkway.
Okay, all right, that's fine. So I understand that.
But Jeremy, it looks like there's an awful lot of slabs for just 4 replacements.
There's probably going to be left over that the client will have to ship back to Boston, or I don't know. what
Well,
he's gonna do
there's
with it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's a couple of dozen slabs there.
Mhm.
The only
It's like maybe
work
10.
that the client was proposing with me is just to finish off that walkway. That was it.
Okay,
All right.
Yeah. I think we need an after the fact RDA on this. Can we bring it all together as far as the go forward plan with the after the fact?
It can all go on the after the fact RDA.
Right. Yep. It'll be good for the owner to understand that you can't just go doing stuff when you live next to the ocean or the bay.
also needs to be very clear in the RDA that it's just the walkway, it's not anything, it's that driveway looks like it's calling to be worked on, and we don't want it worked on without us having.
Right, so I think what's important here is that you have a site plan with what's going to happen. So that's on file.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's a lot more work than just putting 4 slabs in the ground.
Okay. Yeah, I just figured I'd try for a JO on this because it's a simple project, but I understand, and I'll file a RDA.
Good.
Okay, next up, do you want to go ahead and deny that jurisdictional opinion so we can move on to the next one?
Okay.
I
move
move,
that we didn't.
oh, all right,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I move that we reject the jurisdictional opinion on that particular piece of property. I don't have the specifics of it.
Second, Barbara.
Okay, Marty, how do you feel about it?
Oh,
Marty?
Yes,
Okay.
very reluctant.
Ben?
Yes.
John,
yes.
Michael,
Yes,
and Barbara,
Yes,
and Leon, yes.
and
So we'll be
John.
seeing you next
And
time.
John,
perhaps.
and John Kumbler, did you vote?
I said yes.
Okay,
You did.
okay.
Okay, next up, we have a jurisdictional opinion for Eileen Mccurry and Robert Cooperstein on 30 Airy Lane, map 36, parcel 23. And they would like to remove 2 pine trees. One suffered tremendous damage in the storm that we had, and the whole top has fallen out. And the other one is hanging over the deck. And does put the dwelling and the deck in jeopardy. So the one pine tree is dead and the one pine tree overhanging the deck is alive. Both are very close to the marsh.
Is there any opportunity for mitigation on those?
Yeah, so I was out there after our site visits and we did talk with the property owner about replanting with something, and she was totally on board with that.
With trees or?
Yeah. Trees, native trees.
Okay, then I would move that we approve the JO with the provision that there be mitigation with planting of 2 native trees to replace the 2 trees that are coming down.
second,
Second.
Michael.
Okay, great. Marty, how do you vote?
Yes,
Barbara,
Yes,
Benjamin,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
and Mike,
Yes,
and Leon, yes. Okey doke.
Okay, and that was the pile of jurisdictional opinions. I also did send around an email about the Herring River notice of intent that's going to be coming into us shortly here, wondering if you wanted electronic copies or paper copies. And if you want paper copies, do you want full size paper copies, or is 11 by 17 sufficient?
Personally,
I guess
I'm
we
good
can-
with electrical or electronic.
All right, you're good with electronic. Michael was good with electronic.
Yes.
I have a point of issue on it because I'm going to, as I indicated to Barbara today, I'm going to be away all of January. I'm going to be in Florida. And if this
Okay.
is going to be carried over, I know we're short on quorum issues. And so I'm willing to participate from down there. I'm renting a house down there. I'm willing to participate. But I'd have to know how I'm going to be able to get all the material that would be, unless it could be mailed to me or something like that. I'll leave it up to you to try to figure a way.
I think, Marty, we should be getting it in before January. So it was
Okay.
supposed to be in October. We had to tweak a couple things. So I think we could see it by December. So we could get it, if you're still here, we could get it to you. If you're not here and you want paper, we could drop it in the mail. I don't think that's a heavy lift. Or you could view it electronically. So the choice is really yours. Just tell me what you want and how you want it, and we'll get it to you.
Well, I'm not an electronic genius, but
Okay.
at least my partner is, and she'll probably be able to do it. So, yeah, but I'm willing to participate from there. Okay.
Okay, great. So
That
we'll
would be
try to,
appreciated.
yeah, and I think I'm sure we'll have it in before January. So we'll be able to get you paper.
Okay.
Right,
Hill,
that brings up another, well, I don't need any of it really, because I'm gonna recuse myself from this project. So I
Can we
don't
look
need
at
it.
yeah, can we look at those that are going to recuse again? I know John Portnoy was going to. He's no longer with us. John Cumbler, do you have a conflict?
I am a butter for the second phase, but not,
Yeah,
Okay,
so I
great.
should probably submit something to this.
right.
Would you email me or tell me what I need to do?
Yes, I think Michael Fisher. Michael, can you just you have to declare what your conflict is and send that to the select board?
That's
Yeah, yeah.
already been done in a sort of a general way because it concerns the Conservation Trust, which is a nonprofit. And so the State Ethics Board said it was all right if I just declare the apparent conflict of interest, but still participate.
Okay, yeah, no, I was just wondering the process so we could get John on.
Well, I
on
thought
track.
John talked
process.
to the lawyer at the Ethics Board some time back, and they said phase 2 was out, phase 1 was all right.
Okay.
Right.
But he just, no, I think that my question is more basic. He just needs to send an email to the select board about a perceived conflict or letting them know that he's in a butter to the Herring River Restoration Project in phase 2, and he would like to sit on the commission and vote.
Yes, I think that's
That-
the way it goes. And then it
Okay.
would be an agenda item on the select board. And since they're so cordial, they'll get right through it.
Okay. John, do you want an electronic copy or a paper copy?
Paper, please, paper.
Okay.
And regular, size is fine.
Yep, full size or 11 by 17? Full size, that's fine. Barbara, you don't want any copies because you're recusing,
Right.
okay? Marty, we're gonna get paper, full size.
Yes. Mhm.
Ben, what about you?
And I think I'm gonna be recusing as well, since they are supporting a project I'm working on.
Do we only have 5 no, who am I missing? Okay. Michael, you want electronic.
Right.
So if Ben and Barbara recuse,
We still have 4 if
We
John
still-
gets through.
yeah, we still have,
Here's a problem. When is this coming up? Because
where are you going?
I'm going
You can't go anywhere.
in Denver in the end of December and January. So
Okay.
I may have
I,
a problem.
They have to get it to us soon, really soon. I
yeah.
think they're close, but
All right. Can we just take tabs on your vacation schedules?
Yeah.
Because,
yes.
all right. So Marty is going to Florida, not,
From the 26th of December to January 29th.
okay. John Cumbler, where you're going to Colorado.
Colorado and then California.
Okay. And when will you be gone?
This is probably the like 19th of December
Okay.
till sometime in January. I have no idea, but definitely we'll miss the first meeting in January. Maybe the second.
Okay. So I'm just going to say you'll come back in February just because I don't want to.
Okay, fair enough.
And that's 222. Okay, who else? Barbara, where are you going?
Yeah, I'll be gone for the 2 meetings in February, but I can participate remotely if the packets are available online. I just looked today at the meeting minutes and there's no additional information except for just the agenda. There are no, like the forms that we get.
Mhm.
So I'd like to see at least the site plans and then
Yeah.
I could participate.
Okay.
But if I don't have anything in front of me, I think it would be difficult because I'll miss those 2 site visits in February.
Okay. Okay. Let me see what we can do. Leon, where are you going?
I'm going to Oregon,
Okay.
and I'm going to
Vicky.
go from the 20th to the 31st of December.
So 12/20 to.
So people probably won't miss any meetings.
Okay.
My guess.
Marty, John, Barbara, Leon, Michael, you going anywhere?
I was supposed to be in India, but it's been canceled because of the pandemic.
Oh, gee,
Oh,
gee.
cool.
Safer here, Michael, safer here.
Yep.
Okay, Ben, what about you? Where are you going?
Oh, probably not until the end of August, so I'll
Okay.
back you on that.
Okay, good. Okay, we'll touch base. Okay, so I'll just keep that sort of as a running tab in my memory here and on paper. And okay, I think we're good with Herring River. I think that's all I've got.
Okay, so we have meeting minutes to approve from last meeting. I looked at them, they look great.
Yeah, Michael sent them around. They look fine. So I would move that we approve the meeting minutes from the last meeting. I
would
don't
second
know the
it.
date, but
I would
Okay,
second.
all right, Mike, how do you feel?
Yes.
And Ben, how do you vote?
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
Barbara,
yes.
and Leon, yes. So what do you know? Anybody else have any business to discuss?
I know I'm the supervisor for Ron Kolb, and he had some damage as a result of the storm. So I think Hillary mentioned that today, but he's very law abiding, and he's going to come back. I suggested an amended order just to include the trees that came down. And also he was very concerned about whether or not we had would approve the type of windows he put in. I said, no, Ron, I don't think
We don't do
that's
that.
in our jurisdiction. Just use whatever kind of windows you want. But he's comes to me with every little nuance. So
Is this the person up by
by Moby
Dick?
Dick's.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
remember
I mean,
that.
he's I
really
worked with him
careful.
before at the Audubon, so he's very a stickler.
Mhm.
But I think he'll come before us again because he had some trees come down.
Oh,
Poor Ron.
Yeah, I spoke to him too.
yeah.
Okay,
Well, we'll look forward to that.
yeah.
Is there anything else that we should discuss? It seems not. Then I move that we adjourn until 5 o'clock for our hearings.
Sounds good. I second.
Okay, Marty, how do you vote?
Yes.
Ben,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
and Leon, yes. Okay, I'll see you at 5.
Okay.
I'm gonna just stay on, but I'm gonna just,
Yeah, stop the
Disable.
video and
nineteen eighties, 1986 and the regulations and its regulations of January 2000, the Wellfleet Conservation Commission will hold public hearings on Wednesday, November 3rd, 2021 at 5 p.m. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and the governor's orders imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, no in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted at this meeting. Town Hall is closed to the public. Board members will participate in this meeting remotely. And currently we have Leon Shreves, Benjamin Fairbank, Michael Fisher. Are you there, Mike?
Yes.
Okay, and Marty Murphy?
Yes. Mhm.
And John, are you there? John's not quite back yet, but he'll be here.
There he is.
He's there
I
now.
hear it.
Okay, so I think we have a
And
quorum,
Barbara.
And Barbara, I'm sorry, I try to group you guys together so I don't have to hunt for you when it's time to vote. There we go. Okay. All right, so the first hearing, I understand, is Hillary here? Yeah,
Yeah.
I am.
Hillary, you said that the first one wanted a continuance due to a conflict in scheduling, is that correct?
Yes, that would be the certificate of compliance for Black Pond Road. So if we could go ahead and continue that to our next meeting.
And,
I
what's
so
the-
move. I so move.
Okay.
Second, Michael.
All right. Let's see here. Benjamin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
and Leon, yes. So leave
Just out
anybody
of
out. I don't
curiosity,
think so.
what would happen if we didn't vote to continue?
Yeah, I'm sorry, we can't continue it. No, okay,
Well, this was requested by the applicant, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
because he couldn't be here to discuss the issues we had on the property.
Okay, so
okay.
I'm the
So-
applicant. Are we talking about the engineer that couldn't make it? Because I'm Mike Donnelly. I'm the applicant on the property.
okay.
Did I make a
All right.
mistake?
Well, you
No,
didn't make a mistake. I had spoken to Tim Brady yesterday and told him that we had an issue with the driveway that was supposed to be put out of service. And he said, oh, just continue it to the next meeting because I can't come.
Okay, well, that's okay. I'll defer to that then. The driveway has definitely been discontinued, is no longer being in use, but it doesn't hurt to delay, I guess, huh? You want to just?
Yep.
It's okay. I just didn't know. I apologize. I came down to the town hall. I apologize. I didn't know.
Okay. So that has been continued until the 17th. Okay, Goldberg Hirschhorn. Who do we have to speak to that? I think I saw David's here. David LaJoy? Hello. Oh, and Bennett Goldberg's here. Hi there.
Hello.
Okay, so
I'm sorry.
where we left this last time, I believe, is that there was going to be no boardwalk, only one tree down, and we were discussing whether wood chips or gravel for the leveled path. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, well, we have gotten, the first question I have before we start the discussion of wood chips versus gravel.
Well, you want
This
to
all-
open the hearing officially first?
Didn't I just do that?
I don't know.
Okay. We will now talk about Goldberg Hirschhorn, 520 Long Pond Road, map 16, parcel 638, an NOI to repair the existing walkway and stairs, providing a handrail, construct a 4x8 seasonal boardwalk at the end of the existing stairs and removal of a dead diseased pine tree. So we have one pine tree, no boardwalk, and we were discussing what would be best to fill the steps with. We have gotten an opinion from the Park Service that wood chips would be preferable. And my only question is, this whole thing is premised on safety. Is that correct? Are we on the
No.
same page?
No,
No.
excuse me. You should have a revised plan
I
that
had,
that discusses all these things.
Yes. Well, I have a one pager.
Should be
That was-
dated.
Yes, we have it.
Yes,
We have it,
that.
Dave.
Thank you, Hillary. Okay.
Right.
If I could, let me explain what we changed, and I think they address what you were talking about.
Okay,
Right.
Okay. Under the construction notes, we're going to stabilize the path with 2.5 foot wide in-ground timbers and wood chips.
Oh,
That's number one. Number three, we can provide a handrail on the outside edge of the timbers using 4x4 posts connected with a rope. And we show that in the path repair detail.
mhm,
The existing stairs to be replaced remains. The path up to the dwelling remains. We're going to remove one pine tree, and that's shown on the site plan part, about halfway between, in the existing path, between numbers B, letters B and A. That's the tree we're going to remove.
okay,
And we're going to put the work limit 6 inches on both sides of the path, so we'll have a total of 3.5 foot wide work area.
mhm.
So
And that's the extent of it?
that's the extent of it. I believe
Okay.
that was what you asked.
Yes, I believe so.
Um,
Does
I-
anybody on the commission have any more questions?
I see John does.
John,
No,
I'm sorry.
Not a question. I think that we've got cooperation here. They took into consideration the issues we raised. And I'm feeling much more comfortable with voting for this proposal.
Yeah, this is Barbara. I thoroughly agree. I was going to commend the homeowners working with Dave to come up with a plan that is recognizes the sensitivity of the area and yet gives them access to the water. So I'm ready to vote for this plan as is.
Do you want to make a motion then, Barbara?
Yes, I move that we approve the NOI for Goldberg Hirschon at 520 Long Pond Road, map 16, parcel 638.
I
Hey,
second.
Barbara, we were going to have, there were some conditions, right? About the pier and the not having a pier, not having a dock, and removing the styrofoam
Right,
mooring.
right. Though that was, we discussed that the last time, so carry those over.
Good.
Right.
I want to make sure that the homeowner is understands what we're talking about there. Or
He's
David.
aware of it.
Yeah, they.
Can I have you repeat them so that I can write them
Yeah.
down because I was not at our last meeting. Go ahead, please.
Yes, the condition that there would not be a dock extending out from the property, there would not be a floating pier, and the current styrofoam buoy attached to a mooring would be removed.
Okay,
If I could add one thing, though, we're not proposing any dock. There may be a time when either this owner or someone else may want a dock. There's, with a different set of circumstances, the whole 9 yards.
Yep,
Is
well, that's a
is
separate issue. You're right.
Right,
And I agree, that's not a condition then, if they've removed it.
right. That would have to go to a permitting agency
Yes.
and probably come back to us as
So
well.
we should, I think Marty's right. We should take that out as a condition because it wasn't even being proposed, right?
That's
A
correct.
floating a floating pier.
Well,
So,
if I can respond, Marty's much more of a lawyer than I am, but I think that we can put conditions on a property that they're not being proposed now, but that they could not be used. As an example, a property on a seashore, a condition that there would not be any permanent beach structure, even though they're not asking for it. This would be part of the requirements.
okay, would that condition limit their ability to put in an NOI or an RDA to put in a floating dock?
I sort of agree with what we discussed and what Michael proposed, because these ponds are so sensitive, and we're trying to prevent these harmful algal blooms that might render them completely unsafe for humans and animals. I think we should do whatever we can to keep these pristine ponds safe, and I agree with the conditions that we proposed last time.
Well, and that's what's been proposed and it's been seconded. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did somebody? All right. So I guess we're ready for a vote then. Benjamin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
John?
Yes, but I want to add that I am very pleased that the homeowners have.
I am too, and I hope that they
Yeah,
have
that's-
many happy summers of using their new path and stairway.
So yes.
Marty, how do you vote?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes, and I will also agree, since I swim in that pond every day, 4 months out of the year, to be the supervisor
Okay.
for this project.
And I also vote yes, by the way, so. Did we hear that or did I mute it?
Oh, you're right. Mr.
Okay.
Goldberg seems to want to speak.
Mr. Goldberg, yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the commission and for providing their guidance. We had also at the same time reached out to the seashore at the same time Barbara did, and so it was nice that our two contacts converged in good advice. I have no problem with the conditions so long as, of course, they're applied to everyone. And so whenever you have something within 100 feet of
Yes.
the pond or anything like that, that you apply this condition universally and uniformly. So
That's
Well,
our goal. That's our goal.
Yeah, that's our goal, but understand that each circumstance is unique. There are things that are within our jurisdiction because they're close to a floodplain that floods once every 20 years, supposedly. But that we can make allowances where appropriate.
understood. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Good. So we need a number 5 for that, right?
Right.
Order, yes, form number 5. And as I said, Hillary, I will agree to be supervisor for this.
Got you down already.
Okay.
Okay, the next one would be a Baker 35, Way 60, map 19, parcel 16, an NOI for renovation in addition to a single family dwelling. That was continued from a previous hearing. Actually, I think it's 2 hearings worth. Who's here to discuss that, present that?
This was Ryder and Wilcox, David Little.
Mhm.
Can we have our screen back?
Yes, of course. Sorry.
There we go.
That. I don't see David Little on here.
This
We
is what
didn't
happened
receive
last
anything new.
meeting too.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's, he didn't come on, or?
No, he didn't
No,
come
he
on.
didn't show up.
We just continued it.
I think we continue it indefinitely?
I don't know. I'd
Now,
have
this
to
is
look at the
Chris.
minutes. Yeah.
He had sent me an email for the last meeting requesting a continuation, because I had sent him a note saying I
Okay.
received anything, and he said, put me out to the next meeting.
Okay.
I didn't receive anything in the office. from him in the past 2 weeks.
All right, I move we continue, Baker,
Second,
indefinitely.
Michael.
I suggest that given
Well,
that,
maybe not indefinitely, maybe just one more
Let's-
meeting.
Can we put him on the 11/17 meeting and
Yeah.
we'll make a call to him and see.
Yes,
where he
yeah.
is.
I'll second that
Okay.
motion.
And
Shall we
Hillary,
vote?
Yeah.
Hillary, can we
Yeah.
just put a note to, that I'd like to have a site visit on this one with everybody there.
Okay, you'd like to go back there.
Right, because I
Yeah.
did it alone, but I
No,
wasn't,
he didn't go with us.
so I went alone,
Okay,
sure what is there, so.
sure.
Well, we could go together, John. We don't have to have the whole group go if we don't.
Okay.
So,
Made the motion for seconding.
Michael,
okay, Michael seconded. Okay, Benjamin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Michael,
yes.
John,
Yes,
Marty,
Yes.
and Barbara, you have
Yes,
a hand up? Okay, she
Yes.
said yes, and I
Yes.
say yes. So that's continued yet again. It looks like enthusiasm is waning there. Okay, the next one is Leandra, 245 Payne Hollow Road, map 29, parcel 353, an RDA proposal to construct a 2-bedroom dwelling, porch, driveway, well, Title V septic grading and landscaping. I guess my question is, why is this an RDA and not an NOI? Hillary? Okay.
It is an RDA because the work is only within the ACEC, so
Right.
it doesn't warrant a full notice of intent.
Oh,
right. It's
okey-dokey.
not in the, it's not in the resource and it's not in the buffer zone.
Okay, good. That, thank you
Answers
for the
the question.
explanation.
Okay.
The problem that we had with this is that we couldn't see, there was no staking for where the house was going to be or the decks or, so we had no way of really evaluating the property. Who's the contractor on this, Mr. Leandre? Are we here?
He's
Uh,
here.
Yeah, let's see, let me just try opening up this.
Yes.
Pleasant Point Builders.
Okay.
Can you see
So
her?
are
I have to say that because it doesn't affect the resource or the buffer, and we have a site plan that shows that it's however many feet it is from Payne Hollow Road,
Mhm.
I don't really see any problem with this
Okay,
proposal.
yeah.
Um,
Is there a-
I don't know that it needs to be staked. It should have been staked.
Yeah.
And I would advise that any further projects be staked, but we saw where the clearing was, which I
Right.
assume is where this dwelling is going to be.
Right.
But
And this was in a flood zone, is that correct?
No,
Because
just
it's-
outside.
just outside the flood zone, but it's in the, and also there's an ACEC boundary. It's in the ACEC,
Okay.
but the
um,
septic is outside of the ACEC.
Good. Are you moving that we accept this, Barbara?
Well, can
Well,
I just
I-
ask, since the
Yeah,
the
yes,
owner's here?
please, Michael. Sorry,
So
Barbara.
does the owner have any plans for the area between the house and the resource?
He's surrounded by other lots, I think.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm Paul Shea from Independent Environmental Consultants,
Yes.
and I've been working with the property owner on this project. Basically, what we have here is we have land subject to coastal storm flowage, but it's at the back of the property. And there is no coastal bank. There is a 100-year flood zone. We're not impacting that area at all. Zero impacts to land subject to coastal storm flowage. What they've tried to do here is put the septic system directly adjacent to the road. And then the house and all construction associated with the house and the porch, try to keep everything outside that under your flood zone, which they've done. There is an ACEC boundary which sort of goes almost right through the middle of this property. But if you look at any street maps or Google, you can see that there are going closer down. I'm presuming this is an ACE associated with Drummer Cove. And that there are existing roadways and there are existing houses between our site and there. So I'm anticipating, we tried to push everything up to the road as much as possible to avoid any impacts in the back. There is an existing garden area, which is at the very back of this property and actually goes off property. It's an upland area. Someone is growing tomatoes here. I'm assuming an adjacent property owner. But we're technically not altering any wetland resource areas or buffer zones for this property.
Can I ask what kind of foundation this house will have?
Poured concrete?
With a full basement?
That's sort of yet to be determined. But when they dug the perk tests, I think they hit water at like 10.5 feet. So it's, it looked pretty good as far as not having a wet basement.
I don't see any problem with this. I like the fact that it's modest. It fits in with that neighborhood, although there are concerned. And we can't, at this point, we can't insist on it, but I would strongly urge the homeowner to think about it is an added expense of putting in a enhanced septic system, nitrate removal septic system.
Right.
That would be required in the future, but right now it's not. There is money maybe available to help subsidize putting in an enhanced system, but it certainly, if this homeowner cares about the environment and particularly the resource area, they would want to put in, if they could afford it, a advanced septic system rather than Title V, which doesn't remove nitrates at all, or not at all, but minimal.
So this project is proposed with a microfast unit. It's not the enhanced IA, but it is an IA system. So they are getting some nitrogen removal. Yeah.
I'll just, okay, take back my comment. Sorry. Thank you for doing that.
No, that's great. That's great. We
Yes.
applaud that because we're trying to encourage people everywhere in Wellfleet to do this. It's
Yes.
important.
Doing it on your own is about us making you do it is a very admirable action. And I say let's let these people go ahead and get on with their business.
So do you want to make a motion, John?
Yes, I move that we approve the
It's an RDA.
RDA for 245 Payne Hollow Road, map 29, parcel 353.
And I'll second it, and it doesn't need a supervisor because it's an RDA, so.
Do we want to see if anyone in the audience would like to talk?
Sure.
Yep. Does anyone have anything to say or rebut?
How do I do that?
You're on right now.
Oh,
You're
hello.
Hi there.
So one of the abutters is my mom's house. She's here. And my concern is that I'm not a builder, so it just looks very small to be able to contain a house, a place to put a car, a well, and a septic. Maybe you have better measurements and everything, but the people that were sort of clearing the land came over to find out where my mother's well is. They never asked where the septic is, and the septic is right there, right up against that property. We had to take a tree down that was right there because its roots were going into the septic. So I think somebody should know the septic is right there. And
It is shown on the site plan.
Yeah.
It is shown on our site plan.
Yes.
Correct. But we don't make decisions based on that. That's the health department that would do.
Okay, but, okay,
that. Right.
so.
And I think we should let the butter know that the property is almost a half acre.
Yeah.
Correct.
Right.
4/10. It just looks
Yeah.
very small to me.
I
But
know.
But it's
right now with nothing there.
it's buildable, and if it meets code for Board of Health and Conservation Commission, it's good to go.
Yeah.
Okay, do I disappear now?
Thank you for your input.
Thank you. Good to
Okay.
ask these questions. It's always good
Yes.
to ask. Yeah.
Yes. You'll have an
Okay.
opportunity to make sure that your voice is heard at other, I'm sure at other hearings.
So you had a motion and a second. You can go ahead and vote now if the public.
Okay, thank you. Ben, how do you vote?
Yes.
Michael, how do you vote?
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Marty,
Yes.
Barbara,
Yes.
and Leon, yes. I think
Form 2.
that- Form 2.
Thank you.
Get a
Yes.
-2 or 3.
Enjoy your new house
Two.
when it comes.
Two.
Thank you.
Just a point of information. I don't know what rules we run our committees on, but I thought under Robert's Rules of Order that the person who makes the motion is considered, making the motion is considered a yes vote.
Vote. Yeah, I did too.
Is that true for the second?
I'm not so sure on the second, but I think it's also true on the second.
All right, so
But
If a
let's
motion-
just, before we
yeah,
abandon that, let's just check it out. For tonight, let's all vote.
yeah.
Right.
It
I'm just.
it doesn't hurt to vote redundantly.
Right. Save us a-
I do everything redundantly, so. Sooner or later, I'll get it right. Okay, the next hearing is Danner, 31 Samoset Avenue, map 28, parcel 119, an NOI to demolish an existing dwelling and rebuild a dwelling deck and driveway. We visited this site today. We had the pleasure of doing that. It was a very beautiful day. Who would like to start out the discussion?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Hello, Mr. Chairman. Hello, everybody. This is Ben Zunder on the line, and
Yes.
it's nice to see you all again. I have a small request. John Danner, the applicant, is traveling and he's almost ready to be on the line. Would the board consider moving this after your next item on the agenda, just to give him a chance to get on the line?
I think that's reasonable. We can just
Yeah.
go ahead with the one. We have one more.
One
Right.
more,
So
yes.
we can go ahead. Yeah.
And Mr. Chairman, if Mr. Danner is not available when you're done with the next one, we'll just go right ahead.
Okay.
Okay,
Right.
so
thank you.
we'll discuss it without the owner?
Yes, we will.
We'll
Okay.
put off this until after the next discussion and to give the homeowner a chance to come on. That's in everybody's interest here. We don't want the homeowner to.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't think anybody has any problem with it, or
No.
do they? Does anybody? have any
No,
problem
no,
with it?
let's continue. Let's
Yeah.
keep going.
All right, let's go to, is it Batty Bat Real Estate Trust,
Yeah.
Alonzo,
Yeah.
90 Ring Road, map
Right.
41, parcels 96 and 97, and NOI to construct an extension to a bedroom. Is there someone to speak to that?
Yes, good afternoon, Dave LaJoy.
Okay. I see Mr. Danner has just showed up, so we can speak. Okay, David, you want to present?
Yeah, it's an existing house on a property that's surrounded by wetland. The unique part of it is that the coastal bank, by definition, ends up being right near the house. Do you all see that?
Yeah, we're out there today.
Yeah.
So as you go to the southeast, the bank becomes, there is no bank because of the slopes. So we're totally within the 50-foot filter strip. And what we like to do is put an addition to the existing dwelling. You may have a letter from the applicant that was sent out, unfortunately, just today. But it explains why they want to do this. And the reason is that there's an existing bedroom there Actually, it should be in your notice of intent package, the floor plan. It's an existing bedroom that they'd like to enlarge for an older man that lives there, so that he can come out the bedroom, go to the existing deck and look out over the water. There's really no other place to put the addition, or moving it back doesn't make really significant difference. The addition's gonna be on piers, Bigfoot piers, and we have a restrictive work limit. No change in bedrooms. It's just an expansion of an existing bedroom. Be happy to answer questions.
Leon, can I ask some questions?
Yes, please, Michael.
So as I see it in the application, the total disturbed area already is 4,400 square feet, all of which is within the filter strip. Is that correct?
Yes.
So you know the limit on disturbed area is what, 3,000 square feet?
I believe I asked for a variance.
All right, but you're going to add another 300 square feet to the 4,400 that exists already?
Yes.
Okay. Another question, if I may. Can you talk about the severe trimming that's cutting down trees that has already taken place right in front of the house? Here's one image where you can see fairly substantial pine trees cut. There's another area, I think there's like 4 major pine trees cut. Does the owner have any opinion about that?
I haven't discussed it with him. I wasn't aware of it. I don't know how recently it was done. It may have been recent or not. I don't know.
And it's pretty obvious if you're out there.
And pretty recent.
Yeah.
And the trees are pretty dead right now. There's no foliage.
There's no foliage for them. They turned into telephone poles.
Right, can we get back to the
Yeah, let's
proposal?
get back to the subject at hand.
Okay, I am sympathetic with the homeowner's desire to have a place for someone to go out and look at the water, but this would be within the 50, and our bylaws do not permit any new construction of any kind in the 50-foot. So I would not be in favor of this proposal, and I would
And also
also be very concerned about the trees that have been cut.
Yeah, I think that the cut trees will have to be a separate thing. I also, by doing this addition for a lifestyle change, it would be almost twice the area that of disruption that we normally allow. So I don't think I'm partial to it myself. How do the other board members feel?
Well, I agree. And further, I mean, some of the work is not even in the filter strip. It's actually in the resource. It's overhanging the
Right.
coastal bank.
On the bank.
Yeah, and it's pretty fragile there, it seemed to me. John, what are your feelings?
I echo everything that Michael and Barbara said. It will defeat their purpose. I mean, if they came before us and said, need this bedroom, for a person who lifestyle change, and we're going to remove the deck, I might be willing to talk about it, but I would want a kind of equivalent remediation, and that would require removing the deck. That's not apparently in their interest. So as it is, I'm not ready to go with this.
Yeah.
I have a question. What is the size of the existing bedroom?
I'd tell you that. I'm sorry, let me get the plans.
It's about, it looks like roughly 90 square feet.
Yeah,
I
So
don't have
not-
that number.
It'd be a 9 by 10.
The existing one, roughly.
Well, why don't I, if I could, let me ask for continuance. I can contact the owner about the previous or recent trimmings and get some more information from her and him and come back to you.
Sounds good, Dave. All right, I move that we continue at the request of the homeowner.
Second, Michael.
Okay, I vote yes. Ben, how do you vote?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Chris, John?
Yes.
Marty?
Yes.
And Barbara, I take it you vote yes since you made the
Yes.
motion.
Yeah.
I'm just getting in the new groove here. Okay, so we have a continuance, and that's till the 17th.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay. All right, let's go back to Danner.
Mr.
That's
Chairman.
Mr. Dan, yep, Mr. Danner is on the line. Danner, 31 Somerset Avenue, map 28, parcel 119, an NOI to demolish an existing dwelling and rebuild the dwelling, deck and driveway.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, this is Ben Zender, and I'm really just here to introduce the team. With me is John O'Reilly, who's our site engineer. Teresa Sprague is our planting specialist. And then Andrew Mitchell and Peter Hager here as our architects, and John Danner's on. And I think he sent me a text. I'm not sure whether he needs to be let into the meeting or not, but I
He's
think
here.
he's here. Thank you, Hillary. So without further ado, I'd love to just turn it over to John to just explain, the existing conditions in the proposal, and then let Teresa follow up with a description of the mitigation and restoration plan.
Thank you, Ben. Through the chair, my name is John O'Reilly. I'm project engineer for the Danner. We have provided you an existing condition site plan as well as a proposed site plan. And what we've tried to do, the team has tried to do, is work within the existing setbacks from the coastal bank, as well as the existing setbacks from the property lines in the location of this house, with the overriding goal of trying to improve the dimensional setback to the resource, as well as keep the coverage coverages within the 50-foot buffer equal or slightly less than what is currently on the ground. So what I'd like to do is, I'm assuming, I think I heard the chair say that you folks were out there today.
Yes.
And you can see where the majority of the house is going to go. It's basically going to replace the existing footprint that's there. We are taking advantage of a concrete patio on the seaward side of the existing home. And we have placed a foundation dwelling within that paved surface. So what we have done is, currently there is 24.4 feet from the edge of the existing concrete patio, and we are proposing a 24.6 foot setback, a little bit longer, not terribly, but still an improvement, to a cantilever deck. And then on the northwest corner, we currently have 33.4 feet from the coastal bank to, again, that paved concrete patio. And we are proposing the northwest corner of the proposed building at 34.1. So we are just shy of a foot further away from that resource in the northwest corner. We do propose a removal of some of the hardscape within the 100-foot buffer for the for the existing driveway. We're replacing those with some raised planter beds so as to try to incorporate and remove some of the hardscape that's closest to the resource. The septic system that's on the site is currently a Title V septic system rated for 5 bedrooms that we're proposing. And the septic system was inspected as part of the sale. I'm sorry, I should have introduced, but Mr. Danner and his family recently purchased the property. And as part of that purchase, he did have the inspection system inspected, and it did pass the real estate transfer. We do show a shower on the north side, as well as some walkways on the south side of the proposed building. But other than the existing stepping pathway to the timber stairway, we're not really doing anything on the water side of the house with regards to walkways or patio beyond the proposed deck. Part of our filing that we provided you folks was a plan from Blue Flax Design. Teresa's here tonight, and I think at this point I'll turn it over to her. But before I do just want to recap that we currently have 899 square feet within the 50, and we're proposing 897 square feet with the new dwelling. The 50 to 100 foot buffer, we currently have 1,055 square feet, and we are expanding that to 1,242 square feet. Again, that's within the 50 to 100 foot buffer. And I think now would be a good time to bring Teresa in, because Teresa is addressing the landscape and some mitigation factors of this project. So with that, I'll turn it over to Teresa, and I'm happy to answer any questions after.
Could we discuss mitigation after we discuss the plan? It seems more appropriate that we look at the plan before we look at mitigation. I mean, that's just my personal point of view, but I'll leave it at
Well, that makes sense to me. We don't know what we're mitigating yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I'll stop there, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have regarding the engineering on the project.
I have one sort of really broad question. Is this going to be considered a new construction?
Within the guidelines of Title V, no, it is not going to be considered new structure, new construction. The system that's rated, system that's in the ground is rated.
No, we're talking about the building
house
itself.
It's a reconstruction or new construction. If you're taking the whole thing down, then to me, this is a new construction. And it's different in my mind as to what we're approving or not approving.
We are proposing to remove the existing structure that's there and reconstruct a new dwelling.
So it's a new construction then.
Right.
Because you're not leaving the foundation or anything there.
That's correct.
I
It's a
think
block.
this is the same, if I could, this is the same situation we faced on another property in town where we were faulted by the courts for not calling it new construction. So I think this is new construction under the conservation regulations and bylaws that we have in.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a very important point that I want to make. And the other question I have is, when was the septic installed? And that was installed for the building that's currently there. How old is that septic?
If you can bear with me, I will have that answer.
Yeah, that's just a question I have.
I too, John, while you're pulling it out, was going to ask you the size of the leach field, because it looks like it's reduced in some capacity. So I was just curious about that as well.
The leaching facility
Did we lose some audio or?
No, I think he's thinking.
No, he's
Oh, no,
looking.
I'm
he's
looking. I'm sorry. You
consulting.
didn't lose
The
me.
gears going around.
That's fine.
Oh,
That's
I'm
fine. Take
sorry.
your time. We ask these questions and you have to look it up. That's fine.
Got to go into my electronic file. I'm sorry, I don't have it, but it is a Title V design, old style Title V. So that leaching facility, I think, is 5 feet deep and not 2 feet that's required now. I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to get into my electronic file. Bear with me.
I can grab my file too. I'm just looking for the map and parcel.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's leaching. I mean, it's got a very short trip to the bay. Just has to go downhill 20 feet.
The system was designed in 2009.
Hmm.
And it was designed for 5 bedrooms. It did receive numerous variances. As you can see, it's right up into the corner. Yeah, it consists of a 1,000-gallon septic tank and a leaching facility that is 6 feet deep, 6 feet wide, and 12 feet long, I believe it is.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Hey, this is Ben again. And this is to address Barbara's question on new construction. Just because I think it's important that we kind of get grounded in that before we go too far into the hearing. I think Barbara correctly identified and asked the question whether this is new construction, and I think John correctly answered that it is in fact new construction. But under your regulations 2.0V, what that means is that there's an additional burden or hurdle that the applicant faces, which is that they have to site as much as the structure as possible outside the buffer zone if it's new construction. That's the additional requirement that's out there. This particular site, as you can see, looking at the site plan, there's really nowhere to move the house. You know, I think it's really a question of whether or not the reconstruction within the existing location of the house meets the performance standards and we meet the hurdle that we need to demonstrate for you. So I'm not sure we could, for example, move the house outside the buffer zone just because it kind of encompasses the whole lot. But I'm hoping that kind of orients everybody a little bit towards why that's important. Thank you.
Yeah, it's clear there's no place to move it. So do I have a site plan that's showing me the existing with the proposed on it?
They are 2 different site plans that John
Yeah.
submitted. One is existing conditions and one is proposed conditions.
Yeah, okay.
So the bottom line, if I may, Leon, is that the new building is about 180 square feet larger in the 100-foot buffer zone. Is that roughly right?
John can answer that, but I think that's probably a correct statement, Michael. What's happening is the structure is slightly larger outside the 50, and then we're removing some improvements inside the 50, so we can try to keep those numbers down.
Well, you're removing a patio, but putting more structure into that area. That's what's troubling me a little bit, that there's new construction in the 50, not just, the patio, but new structure in the 50.
Yeah, and I think that's important. That's an important thing to look at. But I think in this particular case, I think the question is whether or not where you take that already improved patio, hardscape patio, and you put a building, whether it's going to impact, the interest to be protected. You've all been out to the site. I think the Danners are really fortunate. This is a site that's accreting rather than eroding. The beach is expanding. I'm not sure that and Teresa will talk, when we get to her about the mitigation plantings, but I'm not sure that converting that patio to building is going to in any way have an adverse impact on the performance standards that you're concerned with here.
Right, but our regulations say no new structure, including decks, building, anything in the 50. And this would be a new structure in the 50. Even though there's a patio there would be more structure in the 50. So that's what's concerning me about this project. Otherwise, I think that the architectural design is really very attractive. I think it fits the site. I think it would work for the homeowners. I'm just concerned about that encroachment into the 50 with more structure. And it's not a lot of structure. I think if the architect could just rein it back a little bit, I would be more on board.
Marty?
I have no problem with this, quite frankly. To me, the structure there is an old one. It's quite frankly, a little bit of an eyesore. And this would be such an improvement, okay? And if it takes a little bit of that to get the homeowner to do it, I'm all in favor of it. I mean, I don't think we can just stop everything all the time. And I understand and appreciate as much as everybody else what the encroachment is, but I don't consider that to be major at all. And quite frankly, I think it'd be quite an improvement to the neighborhood. I live not too far from there.
Mr. Chairman, just to,
Yes.
I think to just address one point, to Barbara's point, the regulation says no new structures. It doesn't say you can't expand or alter an existing structure. And in fact, the regulation says that it says expansion of existing structures within the buffer zone may be allowed, provided that no new structure or addition to an existing structure shall be located closer to a wetland resource than existing conditions, is what it says. So I think under your own bylaw, it depends on how you interpret what existing conditions are, but I think the patio was part of the existing conditions out there. So I think your bylaw allows it. You know, whether or not you think we've met the hurdle of meeting the performance standard is obviously for you all to decide, but I think the regulations permit it if you think that it's permissible.
John?
Yeah, right now, there's a deck there that's going to be replaced with a structure. My concern is the deck sits on top of the, of the bank. The structure that it's replacing it, is that going to be on a foundation? And if it is, that means you're actually changing the structure of the resource substantially. I mean, if the addition that's going over the present patio, and I think that the point is well taken, that existing patio is impermeable. It's has a negative impact on the resource as it exists. Putting up structure on top of that doesn't go deeper into the ground, I don't think makes as big a difference than if they're putting a foundation. If that new part of the building is part of their total foundation, that is having a much bigger impact on the resource in the 50 zone. And that's, from my point of view, that would bring me to a similar position as Barbara. If the addition that's over that patio is not going to be on top of a foundation, then I'm more willing to look at it. And then of course I do have serious questions about the septic system, but we can get to that after we deal with that, the issue of this patio and what's going to be under the patio.
Well, it's a patio now, right?
Right.
Patio.
And, okay, I guess so if you're saying, is there going to be a basement?
My concern is that there's going to be a basement there or some sort of structure
dug down into it.
And that's my assumption looking at what I'm seeing, but I may be misreading it. So,
Mr. Chairman, I can have my team look at whether or not, that isn't, and I'm sorry, I can't answer the question. I'm sure Peter or Andrew or John can, but if it is a foundation, we could certainly make that a slab or even, possibly a sonotube, something like that would leave the ground,
I just think Barbara's issues are very important, but if it's a slab or better yet, sonotubes, I would feel a lot better about that. That would make me move, but that's me.
John, may I ask two small questions?
Yes, Michael.
All right. So on the proposed plan on the south end, there's an extension, a rectangular extension next to the proposed garage. Are those steps, or because it's in the 50s, most of it, and it's not on the existing plan. So it looks like an extension out.
I believe that is a chimney.
That's correct. It's a chimney.
So you're extending a chimney out in the 50-foot zone. And on the north side, you have a shower wash station. As you may know, we've been suggesting that such showers, wash stations have a nitrogen removal layer underneath the floor. And I would recommend that would be one of the conditions that we have.
Did someone mention the expansion on the north side of the building within the 0 to 50? I know we spent some time talking about the expansion over the patio, but we still have expansion on the north side in the 0 to 50 as well.
Right. It was about 4 or 5 feet, right?
Yeah, my concerns were that all the expansions within the 50.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, but those weren't addressed. They just addressed the expansions over the patio,
Okay,
but not the new expansion.
got it.
Just to point out, to respond to Michael, number 5 under conservation notes talks about putting wood chips under the wash station.
Thank you. I missed that.
Yeah. So.
Thank you, Ben.
Yeah.
I have another question. If this is new construction, will the homeowners have to come to the Board of Health for anything because it's new construction?
No, when the building permit comes in, we will review the septic one more time. So it passed with the structure that was there.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
The variances will need to be checked. There's additional work that will need to be done just to see if it's acceptable.
All right.
And one more question. There's going to be a lot of traffic on the very end of Samoset. Is there a confidence that there won't be any damage to Samoset from the trucks going back and forth, taking out the house and bringing in the new materials?
Yeah, there's no deconstruction plan here at all.
We just recently, within the last year, there was another home built on the other side of Samoset, right on top of the hill. And it's a very, very large home, and construction equipment came up through there without any issue.
Right, but we
If
need
you know
to,
where I am, it's south of this.
right.
I'm sorry, it would be north of this, but it's on Samoset. It's where the end of Pocahontas is.
Right, but usually when we see these projects, we have deconstruction notes and where the staging is going to be for equipment and things like that.
Which I have no problem with. I don't have a problem with that. All I'm saying is there was construction equipment that came up through there.
Through the chair, John O'Reilly here. We did provide you folks a construction protocol, and we can certainly enhance that to address the staging and the deconstruction.
Right.
That satisfy you, Barbara?
Yeah, and as I said, I think it's a very attractive plan. I think it could work, but I'm really not buying in right now because of the encroachment into the 50-foot buffer zone and things where I think we need to be more conservative about.
I'm just going to say that I'm not comfortable with their using the existing
septic
system that hasn't been enhanced, given where it is vis-a-vis the resource area.
Yeah, that would be seen as a big improvement.
Yes, I mean, this is just me. If they're talking about mitigation and they're going to talk about planting.
And then talk about 5 bedrooms too.
Yeah,
So-
that planting is not equivalent structure. So I want to see a mitigation that I feel will enhance the resource base equivalent to what the pressure is being put on the resource base. So
Mr. Chairman?
if I just will finish, if
No, I'm sorry, John.
if they come with us with an enhanced IA system for their septic, I'm feeling that to me is an encouraging sign, and I'm more willing to, we can deal with this issue of the foundation, be willing to allow some construction in the 50. I'm comfortable with it, but I want to see significant mitigation, and that's not planning. That would be, I think, an enhanced IA system would help to move forward on this.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of people living in this,
Mr.
potentially in
Chairman.
this building. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, John, I'm sorry to speak over you. I apologize for that. I think one thing we could do is we could go back and look at the plan and in mitigation for this, this additional area of the structure, that small additional area on the north side, we could look and see whether we can put an IA component there in the southwest corner. I'll have to have John look at that. And at the same time, we can look at, whether it needs some H20 loading or some protection for vehicles that are in there, Barbara. But that's certainly something we can look at. It's tight in there, but I'm assuming John can design something that would work in there. And that, although, and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think any regs have changed in the immediate past, but I don't think there's a requirement to upgrade to IA where the existing system is Title V and passes an inspection, but we can certainly provide that additional nitrogen reduction,
But there's subsidies from the town for that, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, and I think it's a good idea. I think it's a tight lot. It's close to the water. I think getting as much nitrogen out of the system as possible before it goes to the ground is a great idea. But I think that might be hopefully the type of mitigation the commission is looking for in return for that, that small additional size on the north side of the house. So
I think that's what's on the table in general. I can't speak for Barbara, but it seems to me that the difference inside keep in mind, this is all within the 100. So, but what's in the 50 is going to be, a slab picked up. We don't know what the details are yet on the what's going to take its place, but it's essentially trying to get as far away from the resources as it can, maintaining an existing footprint. So, but the IA, that would be a big concern to me too, because it's pretty easy to see that it's a very short distance to the bay. So that would be a strong thing. I want to say that to Teresa that the planting plan is very nicely done.
Teresa always does a good job. Always.
Very nice.
But I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah, I don't think we are either. We have some basic issues to work through. Well, it looks good though, the planting, but I'd want to see it in context of what's there now too. I didn't pay much attention to the current ground cover.
Along those lines.
So what am I?
Sorry,
Michael, go ahead.
And just supplement what you're suggesting. In the mitigation, it does talk about using EPA approved herbicides. And you say, I think it's selectively applied. Can you talk a little bit about how you intend to do that?
Sure, absolutely. Is it appropriate for me to do that at this time?
Yes, please.
Okay, yep, Teresa Sprague with Blueflex Design. So mainly the proposal to use the selective herbicides would be for bittersweet that's on the coastal bank. So we're showing some areas on the coastal bank. The area to the south of the existing stairs is fairly light as far as invasive species cover, 10 to 15%. There's some more intensive coverage of bittersweet on the bank to the north of the existing stairs. So what we want to avoid doing is disturbing the soils. There's been also a significant amount of debris that's been dumped on the bank, I think by previous owners. It looks like perhaps some trees were topped and the pitch pines were just left on the bank. So there's several bare areas. And when you have that kind of disturbance, that opens it up for just further colonization of invasive vegetation. So literally we would be on the bank, very carefully cutting chasing the bittersweet stems down to the ground, very carefully cutting and then wiping on or dripping on an EPA approved, in the case of bittersweet, we'd use a triclopyr product to manage that. In the upland areas where we're proposing to remove the autumn olive, we could do that mechanically, and as well as the weeping love grass. So all of the grass that you see within the 50-foot buffer is all invasive weeping love grass. It's no native grasses there. So we're proposing to remove that. That could be done mechanically. So there would be no need for herbicide use in those locations. And then the area would be restored with native grasses and shrubs. So that's pretty much the overall plan in a nutshell. Really, the goal is to stabilize this bank, to revegetate areas that are bare or have been disturbed with debris dumping and invasive species colonization, and then to restore the entire 50-foot and 100-foot buffer outside of the structure and the proposed pathways that just provide access and circulation around the structure.
Thank you. And could you say a little bit about the sand seating area?
Yeah, there's currently an open sandy area at the top of the bank just before, along the pathway leading to the set of stairs. And so our proposal is just to allow that to be sort of an open sandy area where, you know, perhaps the property owners could, well, what was existing when I first visited the site were a couple of, you know, plastic Adirondack chairs, just an area where the property owners could enjoy the views of the water, and perhaps put a couple of Adirondack chairs or folding chairs to enjoy that area. It's an open sandy area right now. And so we're just proposing to kind of leave it as it is.
And it wouldn't have any sort of a structure around it defining the area?
No, it'd be completely planted around the area with grasses, yes, and wildflowers, yeah.
John?
One question, Teresa, if the grasses should infiltrate that area, would there be a proposal to remove them to keep the sandy area?
I don't think there would be. I don't think there'd be any need for that. It would keep that, they would continue to be able to use that area. There are 2 scrub pines we're showing at just around that area. And clearly those pines have just been, scrub oaks. And clearly those oaks have just been cut and cut and cut to the ground. They're in really poor condition. So we would just propose to flush cut those and remove them so they don't need to continue to be cut. Our goal is to absolutely minimize and eliminate any disturbance that's happening in this area for vista management or had previously been happening for vista management. So to restore it in a way that no one's going to have to go in there and do any cutting in the future.
Thank you.
John?
Yeah, I'm concerned about the EPA approved herbicides. One thing to have EPA approved, and we know that that's a moving target. I mean, EPA is behind the schedule on what they approve and don't. What they approved last year, they're not approving this year. What concerns me is it may be appropriate to have an EPA approved herbicide in my lawn where I'm not anywhere close to a very delicate resource base, but we have oysters in the bay right there. You're suggesting some herbicides very close to where we have oystering going on. So is there an alternative to the EPA approved herbicide? Doesn't give me much confidence because if it's not EPA approved, it shouldn't be used, period.
Right. Well, what I should say is it's the surfactant. So it's a wetland. It's a product that's approved for use in wetland resource areas. So it's not the active ingredient in the herbicide that causes issues for invertebrates in wetland resource areas. It's the surfactant. So it's the chemical that's mixed in with the herbicide that allows the herbicide to penetrate the bark and to translocate down into the root system. So what I should have said to make more clear is it's approved to be used in wetland resource areas because it doesn't have any negative impact on invertebrates and fish, et cetera, amphibians. So we would use that. And I would also add that we're talking, this is a slightly different circumstance than herbicides that may be applied to your lawn where you're applying them directly to soils. In this particular case, it's selective treatment. So we're literally cutting and treating the stem of the invasive plant. So we're not hitting non-target species. We're not having contact with the herbicide with the soil. It doesn't translocate from the root system out into the soil. So the purpose of using a wetland approved surfactant is simply if there were an incident where there was some drift or there was a spill or something like that, it would have no negative impact on wildlife in the water. But obviously we've been doing this for a number of years. Bittersweet is one of those species that it really requires the use of a selective herbicide treatment to translocate into the root system. It simply can't be grubbed out. And in a wetland resource area like this, I know it seems counterintuitive. For instance, we're not in any NHESP habitat, but when we are working, and we have in Wellfleet in the past worked in priority estimated habitat of rare species, they actually require us to use herbicide to manage invasive vegetation versus continual disturbance and grubbing, because that has a more adverse impact on wildlife and vegetation in resource areas. So yeah, I know it seems counterintuitive.
Okay, so my understanding is you'll be down, your people will be down there on their knees, cutting this stuff away and then putting a few drops on.
That's exactly how we do it. Yes.
And hopefully not much will get to the ground.
That's
They'll just-
exactly
and
how
they'll
we.
propagate through the plant without going into the soil. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yep, that's exactly how we manage it. Yeah.
Are you comfortable with that, John?
Yes, that's.
Yeah, that was a very nice answer. I like that answer.
So do we want the homeowner to come back to us with a revised plan?
Yeah, I think there was some clarifications on the nature of the foundation where there is now a patio. And what else was there? Oh, yeah, we were hoping that the Title V would be replaced with an IA system in the next proposal.
And
That's what we talked about.
Right, and the shower would have mitigation.
Well, the shower's already on the plan, so.
Yeah, but we're asking that the shower have nitrate mitigation.
It has it.
John,
But
yeah, we
that's
did
already
that.
on the plan. That's in the construction notes.
Yes.
Ben pointed that out to us.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
That's okay. No, you're making sure all our Ps and Qs are lined up.
And I think Ben Zender was suggesting that the architect could look very closely and see if reduction in the 50, particularly on that north side, it would be possible.
Mr. Chairman, no, Michael, I'm not sure that's what I said. What I said was we could look at the constructive aspects of that patio area in the 50 to address Mr. Cumber's concerns about what is being constructed on. So I think we're going to be looking at, whether it's a slab or sonotubes or some way to minimize the impact in that area. I don't think we were
On the north side?
But also there's a north side addition that needs to be addressed as well in the 50.
We'll look at that as well.
Yep, it's going out about 4 feet.
We'll look at that as well. Okay.
Okay, so does somebody want to make a motion to, is a week enough time to do this?
What I would ask for is your next meeting. We have a zoning meeting that's scheduled on the 9th of December. So we'd love to come back to you at your next available meeting to see if we can resolve all these issues before we go to zoning. But we may well, if we don't have our work done, we may well come back at your next meeting and ask for another extension, if that's okay with all the members.
So we have a meeting scheduled on 11/17, and then we have a meeting scheduled on December 1.
I would ask that we go to the December 1 meeting, if that's okay. I think that's more realistic. We won't be wasting your time on the 17th of asking for another extension.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Well, I move we continue this to December 1.
Second, Barbara.
All right. Benjamin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Marty?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
And John, I take it that you are voting yes.
Yes.
By your own suggestion.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
also vote yes. So we'll continue that. We'll look forward to hearing more about this in December.
Thank you.
Closing in on Christmas, after
Thank you.
Thanksgiving and all that.
Thank you. It was great to see you all again. Thank you so much.
Yes, nice to see you. Thank you for your input.
Right, it's very constructive.
Thank you, everyone. And the house is going to go there. It does look beautiful. It's reminiscent of the Elephant House. But it looks like it's going to be very nice. So let's get it so that it's good for the environment too. Okay, with that, I move that we adjourn the meeting unless there's anybody out there in the audience that has something they want to say. I don't see any hands up. So I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Second, Michael.
All right. Ben, how do you feel?
Yes.
Michael, that's a yes, I take it. John?
Yes.
Marty?
Yes.
Barbara?
Yes.
And Leon, yes. I think we're done. I think that went very well.
Thank you.
Nobody was, there was
Thanks,
very little
Leon.
vituperative